Hello everybody. For those that already joined, welcome to Monday How To. Today we are going to learn about the K-Zine vector. The vector is a cable system, or I should say band system, sorry, wrong word. It feels like cables. It feels like you're using cables. It's really neat. I have set it up here on our front door, and I've got one vector at the top of the door. You could put a vector at the bottom of the door, and then I have one at about waist height on either side. Pretty cool little system. The vector has a door anchor, and that's what it attaches with. But what is a vector? So my very good friend, Eric K., created this cylinder piece of equipment. Really neat piece of equipment. This is basically, let's see, nine bands in one. So you never have to change resistance bands from one to another like we did last week, where if I wanted a different resistance, I had to switch to a different band. With the vector, it does it for you by switching a little dial. So on there, what it looks like on the inside is a bunch of bands. And those bands create basically like a band that would be a full body band, a single band, whatever kind of band you're using. And then what's really neat about this system, by just clicking it once to the side like that, you've now changed the tension. So let's say I started at about 10 pounds of resistance pressure, so like a 10-pound dumbbell. I'd switch it to 20, and then I could switch it to 30. So pretty cool to use. It's like taking, like if you're at Club Fit or if you're at a fitness center or gym or whatever, it's like taking that pin and sticking it into a heavier weight without changing anything, which makes moving through a workout ideal. Very easy to do. So a very cool little system. And this is our heavier cylinder. So this heavier cylinder allows us to maximize our workload up to 100 pounds of pressure. And so by using this cylinder, it's like using 100 or more pounds of, say, cable stack, plate loaded. So within one system, you're able to go, let's say the top tension's at 100. So if I turn the dial all the way to the third tension, now I'm at 100 pounds of pressure. Scale it off to about 80 pounds. Scale it off to about 60 pounds, which is really cool to use. So they sell full wall racks that you can hook all these vectors up to. But what I have here is I've just taken my front door, good sturdy steel door, to attach this to so it doesn't damage the door. What's really great though is these harnesses secure pretty good with a big rubber on the other side, a big rubber ball. So you hook the vector to one of these, which is really easy to do. The handles come in multiple lengths, so depending on space. So multiple attachments on the handle allows you to range your motion if you want to get further away with the motion. Let's say that I'm working with this heavy cylinder, so a heavier resistance than say this light cylinder here. And this heavy cylinder allows me then at a further attachment to get further through the actual motion. So I'm able to extend my motion a little bit further. I got a lot of tension on this one. So, or if I want a shorter space, I can hook it to one of the top settings and just do just the little presses going right through it. This creates a very band effect. I shouldn't say band, but almost like cable effect. It allows me to feel like I'm working with cables. Very different than a band, which is more dynamic tension. This allows for more of a smooth amount of tension throughout the motion. It controls the tension, so I feel, excuse me, if I'm working at, say, 20 pounds of pressure, I'm feeling 20 pounds through the motion, where a dynamic band goes from about 20 or less than that at the beginning and can go over 20 pounds of pressure against you as it starts to create more, tension in the band. Like I said, there's these smaller cylinders that work really great with a lighter weight. We take one of these off. This vector allows me to have a lot more dynamic motion to actually move with it. And like I said before, you click here, it gets a little harder. Click here, even harder. So, if I'm setting up with one of these light ones, let's take this one for instance, and you see all the different attachments for lengths. If I wanted to extend this handle out, I can. But it allows me to do dynamic motion like rotations and feel very much like I'm using a cable system. You can see that system working. It extends out fully and back in, and I feel that same dynamic tension through the whole band width. Really cool. Unlike, normal exercise bands where you wouldn't feel that same resistance throughout, this one allows us to get that same tension throughout the whole motion. Why would that be good? So if you're a power athlete, a sports athlete, you might want to feel more dynamic tension when you're going through an exercise. But if you're just doing a routine workout and you're trying to save your joints, you're trying to really have more control over the way you're working out, this system allows you to feel that constant tension. And with a constant tension, it's less dynamic pull, it's less of a friction at the joint. And that's why cables are so good, because it gives you that same resistance of, say, 10-pound plate. That 10 pounds is extended of force throughout the motion, where with a typical band, that 10 pounds changes through the tension of the actual band. These vectors were engineered by my friend Eric to be able to stay the same resistance, and then it has an end, it has a shut off, it has a point where it stops. Instead of going on forever, as much tension as you could put against it, it creates that, that perfect amount of tension that's the same. It has that equal tension throughout that motion. So if you've got, say, two vectors set up, like I do here at the door, you could, work upper body with them. And so I'm going to angle here a little bit so you can see that they're in the door there, and I can drive out just like a cable. And like I said, I'm feeling the same tension throughout the whole motion here. It doesn't feel like it's really gaining friction or force. And because of this cylinder, because of the cylinder that it's in, it helps to counterbalance that motion. So what does that mean? So on a normal band, my arm has to control total motion. It has to control totally a linear path. Okay? So if I'm going in a straight line, I have to kind of create that. And that's why you see a lot of people when they're using bands and different things, their arms moving like this, okay, or in and out, because they don't have that shoulder stabilization to do it right. That's why injuries happen. They don't have the elbow to work right to be able to, push through it. This cylinder acts as a counterbalance for that. So it gives you more stability through your motion. Okay, now if you move really super fast with this and do dynamic, types of motions, it can also be the opposite. Once that starts moving that cylinder, it starts reacting against you. And that's a great way to train for a sports athlete, because now you're trying to control motion of something else, and that's you reacting to what's going on. In sports, we're always reacting to something else. But if we're just focused on just training our body, having something more stable to work from is a really key piece to keeping our bodies from, having an injury. If you've had, chronic shoulder issues, this is a great piece to stabilize the shoulder when you're working with bands or a home system. Like cables are usually a good adaptation when you're working with shoulder therapy. So again, with that motion, with that cylinder, it's stabilizing my motion out. It's creating a linear course of action instead of my elbow moving. It's controlling where that band path is going. So it allows me to feel more in control of my motion. And right now I have that at setting 2. Let me crank that up a little bit. Let me get to setting 3. All right, so I started with, I think it was 10 pounds of force. I went to 20. Now I'm at 30 pounds of force. So the same motion. Going right into my next press. I basically picked up another dumbbell, something a little bit heavier, and now I'm doing that again. And remember, when you're working with bands and cables, what's so amazing by these devices is it allows us to create resistance from multiple planes of motion. A dumbbell creates resistance from one plane, a vertical plane. That force of gravity against that weighted object. When we're working with bands or systems like this, or working in the gym with cables, we're able to take advantage of many different planes of motion and create resistance, or in some cases we do exercises that allow us to add assistance to motion. You know, say I'm working here and I want to do a motion where I am creating some assistance to my motion. So if I want to do resistance, the first thing I would do is coming over with a cylinder to do an ab work here, using the system to create resistance. But I could flip around the other way if I want to really train with my back and use the system to actually resist me from going too low into the motion. It's actually controlling my motion so that I don't strain my back when I'm lowering down. It's holding me up. It'd be more optimal if I would hang that to the top, or I could do it with the heavier one and hold that and use that as a passive approach to control my motion when I'm moving with it. So, really great. Super hard to do is train your back. And we know about posture and how important it is to make sure that our back is strong, and it helps to then control our core and keep our core stronger. When we become kyphotic or slump shoulders or forward head, our whole midsection starts to break down. It makes it much harder for it to control and get stronger and be strong, because basically now you're leaning and you're weakening that whole midsection. So training that upper back, that lower back is so critical to basically holding good posture. And if you sit at your desk all day, you're at a computer, whatever it is, no matter what you do, it's so hard not to have your head start to go through that screen. Even when you're driving, we catch ourselves not being relaxed, not being straight up, but our head's getting there. Our eyes are our ways of travel. Our eyes are our way of sight. Our eyes like to control our body motion. And so wherever our eyes go is where we think a body needs to go. A lot of times you see this in people lifting. You'll see their head up to look in a mirror. You'll see their head down when they're doing ab. You'll see different motions. When they drive a car, they're here. When they're on a computer, they're here. The eyes feel more focused when they're closer to an object. Unfortunately, it breaks the body down. So doing back exercises, you're able to do an excellent power row from this position. You can do upright row for working upper back. You can, power it from the lower section to do lower. You can attach it, like I have this other one, to a higher. Go down to, let me find a good angle here. Go down to one knee and work your lats coming through. And if you lean through it here, this is ideally a lat pull down. And a great way to strengthen the lats and working towards doing chin-ups and things like that. So these devices can work lots of different upper body exercises. Let's take these two. I'm going to set them at the same resistance. So I just basically changed my cables. And you can work, biceps. Oh, I put that one with the wrong one. And when I'm working that, I can work biceps, which is really nice. And it's not the tension on my shoulders, on my neck, that you would get from just a basic dumbbell. You can work a shoulder press, holding the bands. Ooh, that almost rocked me over. Going straight up. Again, controlling my motion. I can do a pressing motion. I really really feel, if you really love working with cables, this is the closest thing without spending $10,000 to get a cable machine at your house. A good one. So this is the closest thing to that. So if you want to feel that gym workout, this is the ideal system to get as close to a gym workout as you can. I'm not saying stop using dumbbells. I'm not saying, stop doing all those types of things. But if you want a system that truly works like a gym system or a gym cable system that has the lat machine, has the bicep machine, has the chest press machine, it has, you name it, machine, this mimics it. The adjustable pulley, my favorite piece in a gym atmosphere. Being able to change resistance in multi-planes, the ideal piece. This is just as good. Works just as good. Really cool about this system, you want to work through from 5 pounds to 125 pounds. Comes with a little bag with a bunch of different bands for every single tension. Now, once you put these in, which is really easy to do, once you thread them in there, you're able then to go from a 10 to 15 pound workout or 10 to 30 pound workout, switch in these bands and go to a 40 to 60. You can just keep on working, getting stronger without ever ordering something new to use. Really cool thing. If you have an allergy to latex, what's really great about this, it protects your body from ever touching the latex or rubber or anything like that, which normal bands do, which is really key. For more full body motion, comes with a full body strap. And if I want to tie myself into this, then I'm going to go with a lighter one. I'm trying to go with this one. Switch and do some cool motions here. So while I had that cable on there really quick, tricep extension. Okay, cable machine. I mean, that's a cable. That's an excellent piece. You can turn the band aside, work all 3 heads of your tricep. Like doing French press, working away. And you can put 2 handles on there, or you can put a little bar on there. All these attachments you can get with it, which is awesome. So if I take off this band, or this handle I should say, sorry. Detach. Like I said before, these are cool because they allow for so many different opportunities of length when you're doing a motion. Really cool to do. Let me attach this one back up a little closer. One of our favorite movements at Club Fit is torso rotation. And you could attach it to the mid to do that one. We love to do, which is what I was going into, is wood chop. We're able to go through a full wood chopping motion with the band. You can do just about any exercise that we've ever put on one of those Club Fit programs. Any exercise you've ever done in a class, any exercise you've ever done that utilizes cables. And so one of the things I want to do with these different how-to videos, I wanted to show you devices that could mimic your experience in the gym so you don't lose that. Because we truly don't know how long we'll want to stay in our homes, and we need to stay active and healthy. I went for a walk this morning, staying cardiovascular healthy, beautiful day, sunny out there, but that's not enough. Okay? That doesn't train structure. Trains my heart, gets my heart flowing, gets the blood to those muscles. I got to make those muscles efficient at using that blood. Cardiovascular exercise alone is not enough. You got to train the body. And the body, the joints break down from cardiovascular exercise because it's high repetition. So we definitely have to train strength and coordination of movement. So you've got to add in those other elements. You can't just do one. And with cables or resistance exercise program, you can do both. You can move very quickly. I can go through my motions, okay, and switch right to the next motion and get my heart rate up. And with a system like this, I can really do it in a maximal effort way. It makes me feel like I'm working out in a gym. simple device that gives me a gym experience. All right, so I was leading into, before I got sidetracked, this big strap thing. All right, so if you watch professional sports, this is what they're using these days. For golf, baseball, you name the sport, they're doing it. It's spiral motion. So I put my body in here, I connect the strap, I can do, and I'm going right into the camera now, I can do lunging motions using my strap. I can strap this around, hold on, and without my hands, I can do motions where I'm coming out to the side. I can do rotational, things like that. I don't have a lot of space, I'm having a little trouble here. If I loop this back through, I'm going to shorten my space. There we go. So a lot of the pros use this to control. Remember I just said it can be used as assistance. It can help stabilize instead of always being a resistance. So if I'm doing a forward lunge, I'm able to control where my weight should be using this to hold me, and it takes my pressure away from my joints, which is an awesome thing. So I'm able to move through this and stay controlled. I can reverse my body and step backwards and use resistance against that motion, which is great. If I want to work that core, holding it across my chest here, coming down, training my flexion of my spine, and working that, which is awesome. Like what I just showed, rotation of my spine, creating that resistance across my body. We can do lateral flexion, which is important spinal motion that we forget about. This is why that lower back pain to one side, right above the hip on one side, it gets so sore there. That's a gluteal issue, and that's a QL issue. Those muscles become constrictive and tight because of weakness or overstrain or overcompensation. So those are great things to do. We can do a back extension here. We can come forwards and extend back. So we can work that lumbar spine, which is awesome. There's lots of cool motions that you can do with a strap like this. Another feature that comes with the kit, little belt. I'm not sure my waist will fit around that. So I'm going to do some leg exercises with it. There's another size belt that's in it too. That's a full strap if I want to go around my waist. They've thought of everything. KZ and Vector really thought of packaging the perfect gym. This belt would go around my waist, definitely my waist, and I'm sure others. But you've got the lower extremity attachment. I think this is what this is. I think I misplayed that one, to be honest. And I was able to strap it to my leg. This becomes the Master Glute Buster. Leg piece, leg extension, leg curl, hip extension, you name it. See if people can, I'm going to make sure I'm in, maybe not. So if I'm here, I can do leg curls. I can flip around. I can do leg extension. You can sit down and do it too. You can do hip flexion, important thing. Hip extension, work that glute. You can strap this and work the hips. I mean, there's so many cool things. And a lot of people probably thinking, well, it's bands. They're just bands. So much more. If you felt the tension on these, it doesn't feel like any band I've ever used. This tension is so, the same. There's such an equal amount of dynamic tension through that motion. I never feel the same tension as I get adductor, inner hip, flip around, abductor, outside. So many cool things. This tension stays, like I said, equal through that plane of motion, and it will shut off. It'll come to an end point. so that we're not getting into that tension. When I use just basic bands, and my body's been through a lot, I sometimes get tension in my joints. When I'm doing lots of leg things with bands, especially with strap hip bands, my IT band starts to flare up a little bit. That's extra tension on that muscular system. Remember, that's two muscles going into one tendon, and that tightens up. You feel that tension in the knees. It could be in the hips. Mine's typically the knees, and that's because I'm getting to an end point of tension that is really working in a valgus, in an inward motion against my knee. These bands don't create that because it's not becoming greater force. It's the same force. I can load, and after working with cables or something like the Vector, I don't get that joint soreness. It's okay to get muscle soreness. The thing we want to avoid when we do strength training is soreness around and within the actual joint. Really, really important that we avoid those types of exercise and that we build up the muscles that control the joints, because it's the muscles that not only control it but give those joints good health. So it's great right now to get out and walk and feel free and be exercising, but we got to take care of the joints. All that walking, running, or anything else you do outside or activity breaks down the body. It's catabolic. That's why we typically lose weight more from doing that type of exercise, or we feel like we do, because really adding lean mass to the body, strength training, will increase your ability to burn calories at rest, where cardiovascular exercise doesn't do it. So I highly recommend someone thinks about building stronger muscles. Also, another really key piece, and I spent my early part of my career in cardiovascular therapy. One thing I told everybody is, you really want to make that heart stronger, you train the muscles, because the heart has a single a requirement to do. It has something very important it needs to do. It needs to transfer oxygenated-rich blood to the muscles. If the muscles aren't strong and efficient at using that blood, it puts a strain on the heart. So if we strength train, we actually condition the heart more than we just do cardiovascular exercise where we increase the heart rate. It's not so much, it's a two-part, you gotta do both, but really important is how our bodies use what's being pumped to them. So there's less pressure. You wanna decrease your blood pressure? Start lifting weights. It'll make a huge change. Also, release restrictions. Any restrictions in joint create the muscles not to be able to work optimally. That's why the Moflex device for the lower half is so critical, especially for those that do a lot of cardiovascular exercise. Any kind of restrictions in the ankle or foot really limits the ability to be healthy and the heart to work optimally, because there's not a strain against motion, which causes the heart to pump extra blood to it, and that's not good for the body. So getting back to Vector, really this program is for understanding what's out there, what you could use, how to use it, those types of things. I highly recommend people think about this. We have it on our Club Fit site. We have them for sale there, they're discounted there. You won't find it with that discount anywhere else. This is exclusive for Trimble employees and Club Fit members. These devices are not cheap. This device is $400, but it takes the place of a full home gym. It's a great investment, and it even works for, say, returning to work and using the gym there, returning to Club Fit and using the fitness center there. You still can work out at home. I mean, we've gotten used to working out at home. I mean, now we can complement ourselves, and we probably work out more now than we did when we had the gym because we're making ourselves do that. I take one of these bad boys in my suitcase when I travel. It's a great little piece because most hotels I go to don't have a good fitness center, and if they do, they've got 3 ellipticals, a treadmill, and two dumbbells. I mean, that's a typical hotel gym. This I take into the gym, I hook it up somewhere, and I work out right there in the gym with my own toy. So that's Vector, KZ and Vector, and I hope you guys enjoyed this presentation. Remember, easy to change resistance, great piece of equipment. We have these at Club Fit when you can use there if we were open. But a great piece, and I encourage you guys to look into it and go to their site, vector.com or kznvector.com, I think it is, or check them out on our site, clubfit.com, and enjoy clubfitltd.com. Sorry, this has been corrected by my producer. Enjoy, guys, enjoy the day. Hope you enjoyed that Bowflex workout this morning, and we will see you again soon. Thanks, guys.